Our story starts not in the USA, but in the Ottoman Empire, with the birth of Muzaffar Sherif on the 29th of July 1906. Sherif, in the first 20 years of his life, would see a tumultuous time for his home country. He grew up in Odamis, located 113 kilometres south of the city of Izmir, in roughly the west of modern-day Turkey. Izmir would see occupation during the Turkish War for Independence, which ran between 1918 and 1923. Sherif would go on to college during this period, graduating in 1926 with a Bachelor of Arts from Izmir International College. His education would continue with him earning an MA from Istanbul University in 1928. After discovering the works of William McDougall, he looked into the theory of instinct and social psychology. As a surprise to probably no one, McDougall was also into eugenics. It does seem like everyone was into this theory in the early 20th century. Anyway, I digress. Sherif would enroll at Harvard in the late 1920s, gaining an MA. He would re-enroll in 1933 after a visit to Germany, although he would change to Columbia for his doctorate, earning his PhD in 1935. Upon returning to Turkey, Sherif was offered a position teaching at Ankara University. During his time at the university, he was very open about his anti-fascist views. At a time with Germany falling under the spell of Nazism, Sherif was highly critical of Hitler and became a communist ideological supporter. This would get him into trouble in the mid-1940s, when in 1944 he was detained with a number of Turkish Communist Party members. Turkey during World War II was a neutral power for the most part, until it sided with the Allies in February 1945. But the country was fearful of a Soviet invasion and sought to secure itself with the capitalist Western allies. This was around the same time that Sherif decided to leave Turkey and return to the USA after being detained, in fear of a harsher punishment for his political activities, as the country looked further to the west in its political alignment. Sherif, a graduate from 2 US universities, found his Marxist views in the late 1940s a benefit to his career, as the social academic environment at the time was far more left-leaning. This led to his book The Psychology of Ego Involvements, 1947, published from Princeton University. But being left-leaning wasn't to be a benefit for too much longer, as the dark shadow of the Cold War loomed and the rise of McCarthyism. By the beginning of the 1950s, Sherif's social, political and professional ties to Turkey fell apart during the anti-communist movement. To add further insult to injury, Ankara University officially fired him, citing his marriage to a US citizen. Oh yes, I nearly forgot to talk about Carolyn, his wife. The couple met in 1945 when Carolyn, who at the time was a research assistant at Princeton University under Mr. Sherif. She had gained a master's degree in 1944 while studying under Wendell Johnson of Monster Study fame. Their professional relationship developed into a personal, then romantic, culminating in their marriage in December 1945. The two would go on to produce multiple works in the psychology and social psychological fields. Okay, well, that's a little bit of a background to the experimenters. Let's look at the experiment itself.